When should you register your copyrights? Hi, I'm Gordon Firemark, and this is Asked and Answered, where I help you take your career and business in the entertainment industry to the next level. One of the most common questions I get from clients in the business is about when they should register their copyrights. So here goes. First off, registration is not necessary to perfect a copyright in a work, but the benefits of registration, especially early registration, are so significant that copyright owners should make a practice of registering their copyrights well in advance of any trouble that arises. I recommend doing this as early and as often as possible. To register a copyright, the owner submits an application to the Copyright Office with information about the work, the author, and the circumstances that the work was created under. Like, was it a work made for hire? Was there collaboration? Something like that. Now, online applications can be filed for about $35, a little more if there's more than one author. And filing a paper application can also be done, but that costs a little bit more. There are a bunch of advantages to filing your registration early, but probably the most important are the ability to obtain statutory damages and to get your attorney's fees paid. Statutory damages don't depend on the actual harm to the copyright holder or the ill-gotten gains of the infringer. Awards of statutory damages can range between $750 and $30,000 for each infringed work, for each infringement. And in the case of willful infringement, awards can go as high as $150,000. But to be eligible to receive these statutory damages and your attorney's fees, the copyright owner has to register the work, either prior to publication, before the infringement occurs, or within 3 months following the first publication of the work. Otherwise, only actual damages or the infringer's profits might be recovered. And for most copyright cases, those can be difficult and very expensive to prove. And, as often as not, they don't add up to very much. Also, in many jurisdictions, no suit for copyright infringement can be brought until you have a certificate of copyright registration that's been issued. So, you can experience big delays in filing your lawsuit if you haven't already registered. So what are some of the other benefits of early copyright registration? Well, when you have a registration, you get a legal presumption of the validity of the copyright and all the facts that are in that copyright certificate and the Copyright Office records. You establish a public record of copyright ownership, which makes proving copyright infringement quite a lot easier. You can record that registration with U.S. Customs and Border Protection Agency to prevent the importation of infringing materials. And if you're looking for funding, having a registered copyright will build the confidence of your lenders and investors and folks that might be looking at your business plan and those kinds of things. Now, for many works, like brochures and pamphlets and scripts and things like that, the process of registration is pretty straightforward, and you might not need any help from a lawyer. But for more complex situations, having that legal help will streamline the process and improve the odds that everything goes through without a hitch. Copyright lawsuits are colossally expensive, and the costs can easily add up to more than the actual damages sustained, especially in isolated incidents of infringement. What that means is that a copyright holder could, in practical terms, have no real remedy for the infringement unless they'd registered early and are thus able to get the statutory damages and attorney's fees. If you don't register your work in a timely fashion, you will probably have some limits on what you can do if the work gets infringed. So, if you have a business and you have copyright material in it at all, it makes sense to have a system in place to get things registered so you get the full protection of copyright law. Well, that's it for this episode of Asked and Answered. If you have a question that you'd like to see featured here, submit it at firemark.com/questions.